Hey everybody, it's Boardman21, and today we're going to go over some of the new things that are going to be coming in patch 7.8 and why it could completely change the game as we know it. We'll start off with the basics and then get into the stuff that they actually released today, which will completely change the way that chests and helms are implemented in last Epoch. So let's start with the stash tabs. Now, many of you have probably already seen the stash tabs, or some of you hide in the dark and only watch YouTube videos while playing the game and haven't heard any chatter about it. You will see that stash tabs are completely changing. You will now be able to purchase more stash tabs with your in-game gold. On top of that, you will be able to change the color of stash tabs. You will be able to choose icons to append to the names of stash tabs. You'll be able to rename them whenever you want. You can assign stash tabs to specific categories or have tabs of a tab, if you will. There will be more stash tabs from one category to another. You can move them anywhere that you want. If you had a stash tab that was recently in one tab of a tab, you can now change it to a different tab of a tab, if that makes sense. In other words, they're just movable. And you'll have a quick view window to just see which tabs are on top of that. You will be able to search for items in there and go through all of your tabs and find items that have what it is you're looking for. You can change. It looks like there's going to be a lot of different tab colors to choose from. It doesn't look like you can upload any custom colors or custom icons. It looks like it's only what you have. Maybe that will change in the future. Who knows? Be cool to have like your emotes from Twitch or whatever icons that are specific to you to have your custom stash. But right now, it does have quite a few options that you can choose for yourself with game icons and game colors. And a small preview, if you haven't seen this already, stash tabs and the categories preview. You can have an armor tab, and that armor tab can be broken down into helms, gloves, bard armor, boots, whatever you name it, whatever you choose. But this is a way to have a tab of a tab. And then your quick preview will just be a quick overview in which you can search it, and you'll see that you'll quickly be able to go to whatever stash tab it is that you're looking for without the whole long horizontal sidebar where you're going arrow keys from left to left to left to left to left to right to right, going back and forth looking for the one you need. Where here, it's all one scroll down bar and you can quickly find what it is, and if you can't, you can search the name if you remember what you named it, and boom, you are there. It is looking like it's going to be the same amount of item slots inside of each stash tab, so they're going to be the same size. But overall, just by the look of it, this could be one of the best stash tabs I have ever seen in an ARPG. Alright, as you also probably know, especially since it was supposed to be released last patch, but actually has been kept until this patch, and that's probably for bugs or just, completely getting it right, which is a great thing, and I'm glad to see that EHG is taking their time with everything that they release until it is perfect in their eyes, and that's awesome. I don't want this game to do the same thing that Olsen has done. With that being said, Chapter 8 will be being released in this next patch, and it looks amazing. If you have seen these screenshots, you'll see that the detail is there, the water is there, the fire is there, everything that they're trying to implement. I mean, your environments are just going to feel so alive, and I'm super looking forward to being able to play underwater. As you can see, the lighting is just amazing, the way that they've taken it with Unity and everything. And on top of that, one of the things that I am looking forward to the most is to see how battling is going to look underwater. If it's going to be the exact same as if you're above water as below water, or if it's, actually going to have some sort of different kind of move speed or something implemented in it, or if it's just going to be a visual thing. With that aside, there is also a new soundtrack. If you guys have not heard it, it is a very soothing soundtrack, and that soundtrack is going to be the background music of this entire video. So you're hearing it right now, although it's quiet. But right now, I'll go ahead and play just a 10-second clip of it much louder. So as you can tell, yeah, that's just great soothing music, and I look forward to hearing it in the actual patch. Now, next, we move on to the new game guide, which will be replacing the game mechanics guide that's currently in the game. And this one should be a lot more expanded, and I'm absolutely excited for it. I'm curious what they put into it and how much it will replace the videos that I myself have put on YouTube to try and answer people's questions, which I have done several videos on, such as the armor protections video and the 20 most asked questions. And I'm really curious exactly how in depth this will go. Although I don't think that there will be things like damage formulas and exactly how they work, I'm hoping that other formulas like the armor protections and things will make sense, and it will be in the eyes from the dev, so it should be something super simple and super easy to comprehend. Either way, there are other things. It looks like they're going to go over the runes, the glyphs, affix shards, crafting explanations, instability, and fractures. That's as much as they gave us in the small snippet, and I would assume it would expand beyond crafting, maybe mobs, mechanics, like I said, damage, just other things in general, skills and passives, and hopefully it does. That'll be one of the first things that I check out in the new patch. Alright, and next, the vacuum effect for affix shards, glyphs, and ruins. This one is amazing. So many people I've seen complaining. Some of them still had some bad things to say, like, oh, we still have to pick up one. But you know what? One is better than 50 all at once. And to me, this is huge, especially when you open up treasure chests or finish destroying just a huge group of mobs and the boss all at the same time. So as you can see in the little glyph that's going, as soon as you click one, boom, it auto picks them all up. And that's really all it is. It seems like a small thing, but the quality of life that this brings is huge. Not going to be as much as when they first implement the loot filter, but this one in itself is going to save you from clicking everything on the ground. In fact, it's gotten to a point in the game that unless it's an affix that I know I lack, I just leave it on the ground because there is no point. And with that, let's move on to the next thing. Another thing that they seem to be doing in patch 0.7.8 that they have not done a lot of in previous patches is really working on making you feel like you're there, like you're really immersed in the environment. And they've done this in two different ways for patch 7.8. First, it's going to be adding more life into the world. They're going to be adding little critters, things that you don't attack per se, although they say that you can squash them and it might be something you don't want to do. So we don't know what that fully entails, because, I mean, that sounds like a whole nother mechanic in the game itself. But, things like they have crows perched up on, a wagon, or they have little beetles or little critters running across the ground whenever you're near. Things that know that you're coming as well. They have a little bit of AI added into them, so it's something that like you kind of have to sneak along or stay in one spot for a while to actually see. But the moment that you run through there, they run away and they scatter. The little critters are gone, and so that's something that just brings more detail into the game, and I'm really looking forward to it. The other thing that I'm super looking forward to is the new footsteps. So it doesn't seem like a big thing, but if you're actually listening to the game audio and you're running through the game, it's dead silent. You're just like, I hear leaves, I hear sprinkles, but I myself am not making a single sound. And here it is. Footsteps are coming to Last Epoch. As little as that sounds, it actually makes it so much more immersive into the game. And a few other little things that they added in the patch preview is some new skills. The Mage will finally be getting the skill tree to Ice Barrage, and it looks like it's been redesigned quite a bit. A lot of us are hoping that Ice Barrage, which right now is a channeled ability that costs 0 mana, we're hoping that it either stays as a channeled ability, maybe you can move with it, or that it will fire much, much faster than it currently does. But it's really we're gonna have to wait and see what that entails. On top of that, we're hoping that it does on hits. We're hoping that the shards that it fires are doing on hits as a channeled ability, which for the first time would mean that a channeled ability other than disintegrate, would be able to apply those on hit effects as a mage and allow you to be so much more powerful and do so much more DPS and perhaps be able to survive further to make it a viable channeling skill. On top of that, the Lich got a new skill called Death Seal. Now, I like that it's not an Acolyte skill, and it's considered a Lich skill, which means this must be the skill that they put up past the halfway point in the Lich tree. As you know, it didn't have one yet. We were wondering what it's going to be. It looks like Death Seal is going to be the one that is only used as a Lich. And what it says is it will effectively remove ward and caps health for your character. What it means by caps health, I'm not 100% behind what that means, but it also says that while it's active, it increases damage dealt, and when toggled again, it unleashes a wave of damage. So I'm assuming it's something that's going to synergize very, very well with Reaper form, but I'm not 100% sure. And then the Acolyte overall will get a new skill called Spirit Plague. It's going to be a necrotic damage over time that can spread to other enemies. The only thing that I think that could possibly be bad about this is it's not a poison damage over time, which means it's not going to be as effective as some of the other poison things that you can do on the Acolyte, which might make it useless. But there are options. Since you have a specialization tree, maybe it converts to poison damage over time. But I really hope it doesn't become something as useless as Ignite and Spreading Flames. I really hope that the specialization tree makes it just as powerful as some of the options you can do as an Acolyte, whether it's Lich or Necro, with the Poison Plague Bear Staff. I don't know if any other skills are coming. I think that's all we're going to get. They haven't said anything in the text that says more skills to come in this patch. Obviously, there's more skills to come in the game. It does say to check back with class passives and with items, and we're going to do that in the last section of this video because today they released some groundbreaking info on that, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Totally game changing. But we'll get back to that. Other things, some just small things that they've changed. There will be a floating ward bar above your character, but we have no idea what that means. How do they, to have a bar, that would mean that you must have like a certain amount of ward, right? And I don't know if it's going to let us set those limits. Like health is easy. You have a maximum of 900 health. You can put a bar there, and when it's at 100, the bar is 1/9 of the way full. But with ward, there is no cap. So we don't know exactly, how that bar is going to work. I'm going to be super interested in the way that they have implemented it. I wonder if it's going to be a bar that changes colors on your set increments, like it goes from its whitish grayish color down to like it starts flashing red if you get under 500, or if it gets under whatever set amount that you put. We don't know. Super interesting, but just a small quality of life / user interface thing that they've put in. They also say that they've overhauled many UI windows, including the skill trees and the character sheet. So it'd be cool to see what some of those new ones look like. Small things in the chat, you can block players, and chat will now prevent them from being able to PM you. All the animations from the Mage class have been redone, and we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail. So all of the Mage animations are getting redone, and I have wanted to see a lot of them. They did give us some teasers, and those teasers included Focus. If you watch Focus now, when you actually do it, it's a lot more smoother, and it's just, he's not like squatting to take a crap. I think that's what it was before. He would squat down to take a crap when he focused, and now it's more of like a peaceful meditation thing where he's just saying, hold up, I need mana. He sticks his arm out, and he's just like, yeah, just hold up for a minute. Some of the other things that they did do a new preview for Glacier. For me, Glacier wasn't a huge deal before, but now it just looks so much more violent when it goes off. I mean, if you actually watch the animation, I don't know if they have screen shake on or if it actually does that when you cast it, but it's so violent when it explodes out of the ground, and I don't know exactly how the whole shake screen is going to work, if it's going to affect other players, if it's only going to affect people around the glacier, if it only affects you when you cast it, if you have it turned on in settings. But it's a massive effect, and it's something like a little ground shake like that, that's not too much, is a huge difference in the feel of a spell. You're going to feel its power, and Glacier is one of the more powerful spells right now. And then it also has a glimpse into Ice Barrage, which before, if you remember, it was kind of shooting Ice Barrages off in every direction. Now it looks like it's more of a single direction, and it's much, much bigger icicles, which makes it look much, much more deadly, and it just looks really good. I am super excited to see what Meteor and all of the other skills that they have are going to look like. Alright, and the last small thing before we get into the huge teaser that they dropped today is that they are removing 70% of the game. That doesn't mean the content, that is simply referring to the download size of the whole game is going to be 70% smaller. They have completely optimized the game's install size. This is huge. A lot of people have been complaining that's a 50 gigabyte download with like 15 gigabyte, patches. Just huge. And it looks like all of that's finally got optimized. On top of that, the performance with displaying damage numbers has been fixed. So you won't, turning those damage numbers off has helped people before with increasing their FPS. It looks like they've possibly fixed what was lagging in that. And then another thing is when you have your FPS up, that actually hurts the game. It looks like they've also improved the performance of the displaying client's FPS. So that's another awesome thing. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into today's teaser. All right, today's teaser brought us a few things, all of which are very, very huge and can be even completely build or game changing. In fact, I expect end game builds to be using completely different items in the next round of patch. And what I mean by that is they have now class locked the brand new chest pieces and helmets that you'll be getting. They will have specific generic secondary affixes, the implicits that come on an item. And like for things like Mage, it'll be plus mana, and things like Sentinel, it could be plus critical strike avoidance. But those are huge things that people have complained about not being able to fit into their suffix because it takes away from other things. And now they are going to come implicit on an item, which is huge. The other things that they have changed is kind of the mastery. Passives have changed. Okay, so what's happening is, so let's take a look at this Sentinel picture here. And what you can see here is in your base class where they have this fainted blue line, that used to be the limit of as high as you could go in the base class. But as you can see here, you can now go 10 points above this. Now there's some things that went along with this. So for instance, they also changed the fact you will no longer be able to put passive points in your other mastery classes until you have actually chosen a mastery. Yes, that's sad because that means you can no longer level a character up to 50 or 60 before choosing what class it is you want to play. You can, but it means you can't put those passives anywhere. You could max out the base class, but it means you can't put like 10 points in Void, 10 points in Forge, 10 points in Pally, try the things out and then be like, you know what, I like Forge the most, that's what I'm going to master. You can't do that anymore. That kind of sucks. It's a little bit of a drag, but what it does mean is that your base class is more powerful now. You can see that it looks like they raised up the two nodes that were at the top to the next lineup, and then they also put in two brand new nodes. I'm assuming that these two nodes are going to have to be slightly more powerful, but they're also going to be something generic. And just by looking at them, for me, it looks like you're going to have something to do with throwing attacks, whether it be speed or throwing damage, and it looks like melee damage or melee attack speed. Those are the two things it looks like for me, just because you have a sword and you have a hammer, and that's kind of what the Sentinel class feels like. But I don't know what the percentages are. I don't know how powerful those are going to be, but those are two things that I do look forward to seeing. Um, as for making the choice before you can make mastery passives, even though you still have to put 20 points in the Sentinel class before you go to others, and you'll probably put more than that in there if you level more before you do the quest, you can take those points back out. You still only have to have the 20, and then rearrange those points back into the main mastery classes. Now remember, this is done for all classes. So we don't even know what the skill trees are going to look like for the Mage and for the Primalist and for the Acolyte, but they're probably going to look pretty cool. And that brings us to the second huge thing that they released today, and that is 3D art with chest and helm pieces. Now this is huge. A lot of you have been asking for like cosmetics and stuff, or even just for artwork on the armor, because you can put something on and it doesn't look any different, or it has like a basic look of another item that you had before. And now that's going to change. And the problem with items in general is if you have a chest piece that all classes can wear, that means that chest piece has to look individually different for all of those classes. And that's a lot of work, making so many different artworks for the same item. And the way that they fixed that was they just made class specific chest pieces and class specific helms. The two most visual, non-weapon pieces of gear, in their words, and they are. And what's nice about that is it means that they don't have to put 4 or 5 different artworks for each class on the same item, so they can make them much faster. And so what they did instead was they made 8 brand new chests and helms for each of the 4 classes that are currently available. Now, each of these pieces are going to come with completely new, unique stats. They do say that they'll be similar, but none of them will be exactly the same as they were before. And they will also say that all the gear, everything that you've gotten before for chests and helms, will no longer be droppable. You cannot shop it, you cannot gamble it, and it will no longer drop from mobs. However, you will still have it. So if you've played before this patch, all of that is going to be considered a heirloom of a forgotten age. All that means is you can still use it. It's not going to be as powerful as the new stuff, but the cool thing is, and that means that in offline play for your current builds, you might have an item that's more powerful that someone else might not even have access to in the future if something synergizes correctly. However, once online play comes on, obviously none of those items would be for that, so it's not a huge thing. Now there is one more big thing that they released for this teaser that they released today, and that is that those Helm and chess pieces also come with class specific affixes. And these affixes can be broken down and into shards and be crafted on other items. And it's not just affixes that we're used to. It's 100 or almost 100 brand new affixes that can also be skill specific. If you look at the teaser that they gave us, you will see that the teaser for a suffix, this is a suffix, remember these are normally a defensive stat, can now give you a 150% increased shield throw critical strike chance and a 100% increased throwing attack critical strike chance, which is huge. So there's 2 things here. 1, it increases throwing ability, and 2, it's a skill specific shield throw specific critical strike. So that tells us 2 things. 1, you can increase generic things that are offensive in the suffix slot now, and 2, and quite a powerful amount too, we're talking hundreds of percentages, that's a huge amount, and 2, you can have a skill specific thing. So right in this example is shield throw, but that I assume means that you can do things like hammer throw critical strike chance, or maybe hammer throw speed. I mean, we don't know what they're going to be, and it's not just for this class, it's for all classes, so a lot of skills are going to benefit from it. Which skills they chose to do first is going to be a huge thing, but either way, it's going to be 100 new affixes, which just increases the customability of builds that much farther. So I'm going to be really curious what people come up with first in the first few days to a week of the patch, and what builds are going to take off and do really well with the new stuff. With that, that's all that they have released for the teasers so far. They do say that there's going to be some other stuff coming that hasn't been outlined yet. I'll just read the last little quote. They said, "I know there's a lot of new info here, but it does not come close to outlining all of the changes to passive mastery, item-based types, uniques, affixes, and more that's coming in 0.7.8, which means that everything that I have gone over in this video, there will be even more than this coming. Hopefully the full patch notes come. They do say it's right around the corner. We do expect the patch to be at the end of this week, probably, I mean, at the end of May. It's not going to happen next month. It's going to be this month. It's going to be this week. And we are all super excited for what's going to come. When they do release patch notes, that's usually like the day of or the day before they actually release the patch. So I probably won't do a video on it just because I won't have time. I'll be prepping to actually start doing new build videos. So this will probably be the only video going over the new stuff. However, as you can see, it took almost 20 to 30 minutes to go over everything that's coming out just briefly. This is probably the biggest patch that they've released, and we are all super hyped for it. With that, thanks. If you enjoyed the content, feel free to subscribe. Lots of new build videos coming, and within the next couple of months, we're going to be updating all the builds we've done. We're going to have to redo every video because it's going to be new chess pieces and new helms. And we don't even know what else it is that they've implemented in the game. So a lot of new stuff, so I can't just change titles. We're going to be redoing all of the builds. Anyways, thanks for watching.